We'll find out.
Are we on the YouTubes?
We are live from New York. It did not put the thumbnail or anything on, which is whack. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick.
That's fine. We didn't post, so nobody knows we're doing this anyway.
Yeah.
Oopsie doopsie.
We are rusty.
Shaking off the rust.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it until like 7:30 or
Yeah, I don't
8:30
know
or
why
something.
it just completely escaped my mind.
Oh
Okay,
well,
live.
we're here.
We are here. Indeed it is here. Okay. Trying to
Indeed,
see
you are powerful.
how do we like
Yes.
actually see the live stream chat? There it is. Okay.
Hey, chat,
Cool.
can you clip that?
Chat, clip that.
Chat, what did you just say?
Where is?
All right. And then let's do this.
Oh yeah, there we are. We're so live, it's crazy.
Dude, it's actually kind of bonkers how live we are right now.
All right, cool. So that's all set up. Now we just got to get people in here watching.
Well, let's do that. Don't definitely edit all this out of the podcast version.
No.
We're
This
gonna
is
leave
good.
this in.
This is
this
gold.
is some good stuff.
This is the
It's
content
behind
that
the counter.
people
It's
have been
bonus
waiting
material.
for.
The people want it.
Yeah, the people need it.
I need that.
Is anyone posting a post in the actual group? I can. I'm just
Okay.
asking if anyone is.
You should do that then.
You should absolutely do that.
I'm sharing it in the group chats.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Not Facebook Marketplace.
I don't know. That might be a good place. I think we could find an audience there.
We could get some real fun characters in the chat.
Well. Look who's here. Slasher Fred. Welcome back.
All right.
Whoa.
Not skipping a beat.
Good to see
Isn't
a
that our
familiar
fan?
face.
I heard that thing you do reference, Michael. Don't worry.
Thank you. Somebody needed to. Oh, come on.
All right. Oh, cool. You can show the comments on stream. That's awesome.
Nice. Oh, gosh.
That's very true.
Gabe showing up. Star Wars hasn't had a good movie since Empire. Finally, the true Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun.
No, this is where the fun begins. Well, let's go ahead and get the intro rolling.
All right, I posted. We got a post going. So
Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Banter Fodder podcast. I'm your host, Drew, joined by my co-hosts Michael Hoover Dam and Jimmy Jam, the Walker Texas Ranger man. It has been a minute, far too long. So we didn't make a post about it anywhere because we're terrible hosts. But we've been on a little bit of hiatus. We had to take May off. We were just busy with life things, vacations, all that stuff. So We took a
You
little
know, this
break.
is how terrible we are. It wasn't until you just said that that it even occurred to me that that was a thing we probably should have done.
Yeah, we probably should have, but you know, we didn't. So
We're a good podcast,
We
guys.
announced to each other we're taking a
yes,
hiatus.
yes. We just
But
had to leave the
nobody
fans
else.
guessing, you know. Yeah.
Oops.
But hey,
We're terrible.
we're back. So yeah, and we're also trying a new service, Riverside. So we'll see how that goes. It's very different from StreamYard in terms of its formatting. So still getting used to it and everything. But yeah, it's good to be back finally. I've missed chatting with you guys, and with everyone in the comments as well. Michael just is gone. He's
Yeah. Back.
anyways,
I'm trying to plug in my computer. That's all.
that's probably a good thing. That's probably something that you do before the stream
Yeah.
starts, if I had to guess. But we're a
Well,
different kind of
it's
podcast.
fine. It's fine. I just don't want something bad to happen. It's fine. We're all fine here. Thank
How are
you.
you?
Yeah.
How are you?
Is Michael's camera frozen, by the way?
Yeah, dude, he is hiding out of frame.
That's pretty great. We are the greatest podcast of all
Yeah,
time.
we are so back.
Wait,
We really
is it
are
really
back.
frozen?
Yeah, try
Yeah.
and
Oh, hey, you're.
oh,
Is
there
it
you
really
go. You're
frozen?
back. You're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Technical
bad feeling about
difficulties
this.
right out the gate. So speaking of technical difficulties, so originally what we wanted to do was have May be our Star Wars month. But that didn't happen. And part of the reason why that didn't happen was because, like I said, we were busy, but also we had technical difficulties, like really bad technical difficulties. We recorded like 2 hours worth of 2 hours worth of a podcast episode, kind of talking about the state of Star Wars, where we're at, what we're feeling about it, and all the new movies that are on the slate. And it was a really great conversation, and it was gonna be kind of like the segue into what we're doing now, which is a celebration of Star Wars, why we love Star Wars. And yeah, it's a shame that we lost that episode. Michael's audio just completely cut out from it, and
I should have plugged in my computer.
yeah, exactly. So that's gone, but we're here now. We're back to streaming, so it's fun. But since it's been a while, guys, give me like a quick last three movies that you've seen. Just do it very briefly though. James, we'll start with you.
Okay, I watched Spring Awakens, I think it's called.
The
It
Force
is an
Awakens.
old 40s Japanese movie, and it's pretty good actually. I I really actually like kind of slice of life movies, especially from Japan. Like just going through Ozu and Koreeda and stuff. I really like just chilling uh, in these movies that are just about family dynamics. So it was really good. I watched Final Destination for the first time just because, you know, Bloodline, or is it Bloodlines?
Yeah.
Yeah, that has like been in the conversation long enough that I started feeling FOMO. And I was like, man, honestly, like 90s, 2000s, like ensemble schlocky horror is like such a comfort genre for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
give me young adults being idiots, getting decapitated on airplanes all day. This is like, I could fall asleep to this. So I watched that, and it was exactly what I wanted and needed it to be. Super silly fun. Um, and I watched Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. And I'm betting we're going to have an episode on it at some point. So I won't go too far into my thoughts here. Um, so I'll just say I was disappointed. It the script feels this critique is used a lot whenever it's just like criticizing a bad script, but I mean it here like in the full meaning of it more than ever, which is it felt like they just shot a first draft. Like they took a first draft and they decided this is the movie. We are filming this script that has not really had a second set of eyes go over it. We haven't followed all the subplots that we started. We started a couple and we forgot that we started, so we kept shooting. And I don't know. It's pretty messy. It's got two to me like all time sequences though, uh, and I just like none of the cast is bad. Like I like Tom Cruise as Ethan a ton. You know, I like these people a lot. So even though it's a mess, I think I had a good time with it, and I was genuinely impressed at some different moments. And it takes some ambitious swings just in terms of scale and scope in ways that I appreciate. So um, I definitely wanted more from the movie that is very much presenting itself like some sort of like conclusive piece of the franchise. Um, but I enjoyed it.
Cool. Michael, what about you?
Okay, so I've been on vacation. I have not watched very many movies. Family vacation does not leave much room for movie watching, and we really didn't have TV there or anything like that. So it's actually really nice. But I did go back to the theater to see the Revenge of the Sith re-release, which was incredible. I went with my friend Justin, who's actually been on the podcast before. So we went and saw that. That was so much fun. Last time I saw that in theaters was with my dad in 2005, and he fell asleep. So um, breaks my heart to this day. But it was just such a great experience this time, and uh, oh man, just seeing all that happen again. I've seen that movie countless times. But seeing it on the big screen, Star Wars just does belong on the big screen, you guys. Like we're gonna talk about a lot of Star Wars tonight. I'm sure Andor's gonna come up. We better talk about some Andor tonight.
Oh yeah, we gotta
Um,
talk about Andor.
and it's in gosh, when Star Wars TV is great, it's so good. But I don't know, man. Going back and watching Revenge of the Sith in the big on the big screen, it was just like I need this again. We need this again. Bad.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I saw Thunderbolts. Um, I really, really liked it. It felt to me like a return to form for Marvel. I have been a defender, even though I also acknowledge the inconsistencies for the MCU as of late. But the Thunderbolts to me really felt like a cohesive movie, and it felt really I felt the emotional weight of it, and I really liked the story. I really enjoyed the character dynamics. Um and all that. And so, really, I wasn't sure what to expect, but the more marketing I saw for the movie, the more excited I got for it. And I was super happy it didn't disappoint. Like I actually was really impressed with the direction and stuff. So I'm really pleased that it's really good. At least I think so. I think a lot of people really liked it. Unfortunately, not a lot of people saw it, which is weird. Bummer, but it's really good though. And then I also saw Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning last night, actually. And I agree with some of James's points. I do think it was a mess. I think the first act was really tough at times to get through. I don't. I honestly don't think I need any exposition from any other movie for a whole year. I think we're good. um, Something about Mission Impossible exposition is it's so corny that I love it though. I don't know. It was over the top in this movie. It was wild. Um but and yeah,
It's the most previously on at times. The first like 10 minutes is the most Ethan, you did this before, and Gabriel did this, so you blah blah blah. And he's just standing like, yes, I did do that. Oh my god.
And then we
God.
just cut from one person to another person mid-sentence as they tell us things that are supposed to be happening, and it's hilarious. I think the the Mission Impossible exposition has become a meme at this point, and I kind of love it, but it's also yeah, it was out of hand. It was out of control in this movie. However, I really loved my experience watching this movie. I think that there's a lot of great stuff here. James, you alluded to the two incredible sequences, like all
Surpassed my
time sequences.
expectations.
They're for real. Like the submarine sequence and the plane sequence are just like everyone talks about them, and it's for a reason. And I really love this time. I don't feel like I saw the plane. I saw the plane stuff, but it was just quick shots of the plane. I don't feel like, or maybe I just didn't watch as much because I didn't want to be as spoiled, but I did not get as much of the spoil. I didn't get spoiled as much with the stunts this time around. And I think that worked in the movie's favor.
Yeah.
They
And I think
really,
it also helps because it's like it's a full sequence,
yeah,
you
it's,
know.
it's
So
a
it's
big,
not
it's
like
not
something
just
that
a,
you're
yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's not
yeah,
just a jump. It's not something that you could completely spoil in a behind. Like I'm telling you, that plane sequence, I have never been like white knuckling the edge of my chair as much. And I
yeah.
was like, oh,
Oh, when they
like
would flip the, oh,
and the
and,
way he slides on the wing, like I'm like, oh gosh, dude, I'm so
and his
scared. I'm
mouth
so
is like,
scared right now.
like but and then I felt the same way during the submarine sequence. It's just so oh man, it's just it was breathtaking. I was so kind of in awe, you know. um and I loved the crew. I love Palm Clementif, whatever her name is. I love her presence in these movies. um and also oh, I'm forgetting her name, I'm so sorry. Haley Atwell, I love her in these movies. I think she's great addition. I do think there's a lot. I understand what you're saying with it feels like a first draft. There's a lot of stuff that's like we couldn't have trimmed this a little. I don't you we're I feel like us three are always like, why are y'all always wanting to shorten movies? Come on, like let it breathe. Even all of us, or at least Drew, have you seen it? You haven't seen it, have you? Yeah, but
No.
even James and I are both like, this is way too. This could have been trimmed up. This could have been tightened up.
Well,
The stories are started and not finished, and like it's just like decide where you're going and commit to it. And there's a lot of that in this movie, but there's also a lot of I at least for me, there were a couple of points where I felt really emotional. I was really connected to the heart of the movie in general. And so I really ended up really loving it, despite it's a pretty flawed Mission Impossible movie, which is wild. The last two movies, even though I like Dead Reckoning, I think better, but the last two Mission Impossible movies, they're pretty flawed by the same guy who did Rogue Nation and Fallout, which are basically perfect. Like so, it's pretty it's pretty weird, but I did still love it.
Yeah, I'm curious where I'll land on it because I'm hearing like so many mixed things. Like not in terms of like it being a mixed movie, but like I'm like hearing people like, "Oh, I was really disappointed," or I really like I still loved it, or I really loved it. So I'm curious where I'll land. I have a feeling that I'm gonna like it a lot despite its flaws because I love Mission Impossible. There's no way it'll be worse than two. So
It's not. Then it's not. Curry, it's not.
all right.
James,
James, it's not.
I
it's
think
not.
there's an
I
argument.
already
I
know
think
it's
there's a
not.
genuine argument.
No,
Oh.
no.
I think there's
All
a
right,
genuine
all right. We're gonna end the podcast. Um, but yeah, let's reel it in a bit. Um, so I'll just quickly mention a few movies that I watched recently. I watched Final Destination Bloodlines, and I had an amazing time with it. Um, that movie is a blast from start to finish. And it's got like a surprisingly really fun cast. Which that's like part of the charm for that franchise. You want to have like characters that you root for or you don't root for, and I feel like they did a really good job with it. And I think that it feels like super super self-aware, like it knows that this movie is goofy as hell, um and it fully leans into it. And I think that's why it ends up being like so good, because they just knew what they were doing with it. So I was a huge fan. And then I also watched Bring Her Back on Friday, and man, um I've not been the same since because that movie is incredibly intense. um I was floored by some of the things that they do in the movie. It's probably the scariest movie that I've seen in a long while, at least probably since Hereditary. It's just really dark, um, and very, I don't know, it'll just rock you to your core. And I think honestly, like, it's really strong thematically too. I think the writing is fantastic and the performances are phenomenal. Sally Hawkins gives an all-timer
I
performance.
can't believe she left Paddington 3 to be in this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
wild.
it's crazy. But yeah, I highly recommend it to you, Jimbo. I think
I want to watch it. It's one that I do for the first time in a while. I do feel like I'm needing to prepare myself
oh, you
because
do.
true, like Hereditary, like that's not a super long movie, but it was my day. When I watched it, I'm like, golly, I cannot get this out of my head. I
Yeah.
cannot. This is like it's really thematically dark, and like whenever it takes the horror of it super seriously and goes deep with I don't it sticks with me. I
Yeah.
love those kinds of movies, but I'm like, I gotta get ready. Let me take some lazy
I know.
Saturday where I can try to recover at home.
Yeah, you got to be mentally prepared for it. You also got to like read your Bible and stuff. So it's it's one of those for sure.
Sounds like one I won't be watching.
Oh, definitely.
Not because I don't want to read my Bible.
Yeah, yeah. Get this sinner out of here. Oh man. Um well, that about does it for stuff that I've been watching lately. I've just been watching a lot of TV. And one of those TV shows is Andor, which we're going to have to talk about at some point.
Mm.
Um but let's get into it, guys. So, why talk about why we love Star Wars? I feel like we do it like all the time, honestly. But we thought it would be fun to just have a single stream to just glaze Star Wars and be like, "Hey, this is why we love it." And you know, not feel like we're defending Star Wars for the sake of defending it, or anything like that. We're just talking about why we love it, and it's as simple as that. um but I think like the best way to start this is to kind of start with just talking about our Star Wars story. I think that would be the
Rogue
most
One,
appropriate way to start it.
the
our
Star Wars
our
story.
Our
Rogue
Star
One.
Wars story.
Yeah. um so yeah, I was thinking, we can kind of, I know we've probably talked about it before, but never hurts to talk about it again. But just kind of talk about, like how you even like got into Star Wars. Like what drew yourself to it? Not me. But
What Drew?
yeah, what drew. Um but yeah, let's go ahead and start with Michael.
Okay, so oh man, I didn't prepare for this. But it's not like I haven't talked about this a billion times. Um, man, I've loved Star Wars since the okay. So the first thing I remember watching from Star Wars, I don't remember like where I was. I probably was like 6. I was really really young, but I have a vivid memory of seeing the Hoth sequence. So for some reason we were at someone's house and Empire was on, and I remember Hoth being like the first thing I ever saw. So I must have thought it was cool. Because then the next thing I remember was a couple of Christmases later, I got the special edition trilogy on VHS. I actually have it on the shelves over there. I'm not going to bring it over, but I do. I have it. Um, and I I watched that so much as a kid to where I actually it took me a long time to actually realize that those weren't the original versions of the movies. Like to me, those were the movies. Period. Um, Jedi Rocks is the real thing. um, and to me, I loved that. So, um,
Dude, it's
and
catchy, man.
it's a banger. It's so good. Um, Especially when the honeycomb guy comes in. Oh man. But I do remember watching Return of the Jedi the most. That was the one as a kid that I loved. I loved the Jabba sequence, like rescuing Han, and I loved the Endor stuff. I'm an Ewok lover for life. I love them forever and ever. I love the sequence on Endor reminds me a little bit of I've said this before, I think, but I don't think either one of you have seen it. Swiss Family Robinson. They do the whole like thing where you set up logs and like chop down you chop the rope and the logs just start rolling down a hill, like hitting people.
Classic.
That it
Everybody
feels
was doing that in the 80s.
they were, and
Yeah.
it what's a smart plan. You should always have those ready to go. But the it reminded me of that, and I grew up on that movie, so I always kind of loved the being in like the green forest and having the Ewoks, and I always thought 3PO was hilarious when he was like floating and like telling stories and all that. But what stuck with me always, and it still the third act of this movie is it's like some of the greatest anything I've ever seen. Period. It's the throne room with Vader and Luke and the Emperor and the space battle going on at the same time. It is just some of the greatest. Literally getting chills right now. It doesn't take long, but
I'm
like
hearing a particular track that plays in the third act in my mind right now, and I'm getting chills. I'm like,
is it the operatic
yes.
singing when Luke is going ham
Fuck, dude,
on Vader and
it's like the
trying to
greatest thing in
kill
the
him?
world.
Okay, so yeah, it's
He would never do that.
he would
Whoa, hey guys, we don't even have to address haters, all right?
oh, love it.
Jack's not in the
Anyway,
comp for all intents and purposes. Act like Jack's not even here watching.
Exactly.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so I always loved that. Fast forward to obviously I because of that I loved I was the perfect age for the prequels coming out. I was like 10 when the Phantom Menace came out. I loved the prequels at the time. And then I got kind of too cool for them when it was really cool to hate them, when I was like in college and a little older and all that stuff. Regrettably, so, but I I remember the hype of The Force Awakens coming up, and just that first I'm getting chills again. That first trailer that they released for The Force Awakens, and I Jack and um I was like, there was something that there had been an awakening,
Yes.
and I felt it. I did not know it was almost that thing. It was like, oh yeah, I'm obsessed with this, and it's back. It was like it was dormant for a while, but it really did awaken in me. And then I loved The Force Awakens, and then The Last Jedi. I started a podcast because of The Last Jedi, a Star Wars podcast, and I I can't describe the love I have for even some of the Disney Star Wars. Yes, some of the Disney Star Wars. And then yeah, there's ups and downs. Maybe we'll talk about them. Maybe we're just talking about ups tonight. That's great. But I love as a full-grown 36-year-old man, I love Star Wars now more than I did when I was 7, like, and I think, as an adult, as a kid, I loved it for certain things. As an adult, I love it for those same reasons. And I get it for different reasons as well now. There's emotional and like, there's emotional reasons to love it more. There's different stage of life. I feel like there's a Star Wars for every stage of your life. And I just love that about Star Wars. I love that Star Wars can be Jar Jar Binks making poop jokes. And I love that it can be, um, you know, uh, mass murder in Andor and like the political downfall of the Republic. And like, it's like, it can be these like crazy extremes. But Star Wars, there's room for everything. There's room for everything in Star Wars, and I love it. Um, and who said this? Jack. Rebels is still and will defend forever the best storytelling of Star Wars. The animated shows get hated, and I lost it. But Rebels is amazing. I love Rebels. I love the Clone Wars. We'll talk about all this, but there's so much there's so many good things in Star Wars, and it's so different. I love that about Star Wars. And so that's where I can stop that. But my Star Wars story is just, it is lifelong. Um Ups and downs, kind of like Star Wars itself, but ultimately now as an adult, as a, mid 30s man, I love it more than I did even when I was a kid.
Yeah. What about you, James?
Yeah, I think I want to say I had mentioned this before, but like Star Wars for me growing up was something I enjoyed, but it was like one of a number of things I enjoyed. It wasn't like a thing I just loved. Like Lord of the Rings was like the thing I loved. Jurassic Park was
There's
the
no shame in
thing
that.
I loved. You're right, but it's just like Star Wars was like, you know, I don't know, any, pick whatever big movies, series, cartoon. Like just it was one of a number of things I liked. Yeah, I like Star Wars. Lightsabers are cool.
Mhm.
Lightsabers are cool, and the way Batman is cool, and the way James Bond is cool, and the way that it's a cool thing. I like it. Um, and like I know growing up, I watched. I watched them a couple times. The video Star Wars video games was a bigger presence in like my early days than that. Like I played Knights of the Old Republic again and again and again and again. Um, I didn't watch the original trilogy a whole ton. I know I watched them as a kid, and I know I had easiest access to A New Hope, and that every time I went over to my grandparents, it'd be like, "Oh, they've got a Return of the Jedi VHS. I can watch that one here." And I just called it the one with the Rancor. Dude, y'all have the Star Wars with the Rancor? Like that's what I would do.
Yes.
Uh, and and that's kind of how it existed for me, like up even through college, where like again it was like a thing that I liked, but whatever. And then it was the Force Awakens teaser where I was like, man,
Mm.
this teaser, like this is art. And all like the music and everything, it kind of like I was about to do the exact same bit that had been awakening. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start watching Star Wars again. So I watched 1 through 6, and I was like, dude, I kind of love these. And then I picked up Clone Wars, and I watched Clone Wars like twice through. I was like, this because I made fun of it for the longest time. I was like that. I remember seeing the trailers for the movie, which is a positive episode, but I was like, oh no, this looks so dumb. This animation style is so stupid. And then I found out they brought Maul back, and I'm like, dude, can a character stay dead? This is so stupid. Like, you can't do something this huge in an animated show that nobody's gonna watch, and blah blah blah. And I just avoided ever watching it for the longest time. Ended up watching it, and then, like I said, I watched it through again. I fell so in love with the Clone Wars. I got whenever they did the Clone Wars saved trailer that had like all the clone trooper helmets and everything, dude, I got emotional. I was like, this is so important to me now. I love this
Yeah.
show. And then of course I watched Rebels, Love Rebels. I love Rebels.
Rebels is
Um,
so good.
it is.
Oh,
It honestly is among my very 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 favorite Star Wars stuff. I
same.
like Ezra and Kanan and Hera, and like I just these are some all time characters for me.
Yeah,
Chopper.
I hum like the ending
Chopper
credits
baby.
theme all the time. Oh, Chopper. But I'm just going around going like dun 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 dun. It's just I'm like, oh, that's Rebels. Um, so yeah, like it honestly around 2015, weirdly enough, a decade ago. That's incredible. Uh, I I took steps into like being a Star Wars super fan to now like at this point, and like I love like I love almost like there's a small handful of things that I can say like I can't work up love for this, but it's a small handful in a series this massive. Like 95% of this series, or at least 90% of the series, I can be like I love it. You know, like I'll watch Attack of the Clones, and maybe it's Stockholm syndrome, you know, but like there's a prequel effect where it's like we're going through all the memeable lines and I'm like yes, yes, this is it, I love this. Like I unironically love watching like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and everything. I love so much of the Disney era stuff. I love every era of this series has something that I just absolutely love. So yeah, at this point I definitely consider myself more than just a fan. Like I'm playing the games, I'm watching the shows, I'm seeing the movies, I'm I'm watching the movies again and again and again. I'm watching the shows again and again and again. So yeah, I'm in super deep now.
Yeah. No, that's such good stuff, guys.
What's your story, Drewby?
Yeah, my story. I was the biggest Star Wars hater of all time. Just kidding.
Ain't no way.
Yeah, I love Star Wars. I've always loved Star Wars. I don't remember how old I was, but one day my dad brought home the original trilogy, and technically that was not my first Star Wars experience because I had been in theaters when I was like a
In the
fetus,
womb.
basically. Yeah, I was in the womb basically for the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Um, I was there, but my first like really remembering Star Wars was whenever my dad brought home the original trilogy one day, and I watched through those. And I've watched the prequels a billion times, but I've also watched the original trilogy probably even more. Um, A New Hope was like my one of my most watched movies as a kid. Watched Empire Strikes Back a lot. Return of the Jedi, not as much as I wish I would have. But
Shame.
and then it was um probably Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith for like also like my super rewatched movies. I rewatched Attack of the Clones so many times as a kid because I loved the like actual start of the Clone Wars on Geonosis, and then also the
Wow.
greatest sound
And we
effect
all know
of
what you're
all
talking
time.
about.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's I mean, there's so many things in Star Wars where it's like anyone can quote it and you'll know. Like even if you're not a Star Wars super fan, you'll know. But yeah, I remember watching them a million times as a kid. I had so many of the Star Wars games growing up, read some of the Star Wars books, had a few comics, had a billion Star Wars action figures. Um, I lived and breathed Star Wars, and it never left me, which was great. Because like from my childhood up until now, I'm still with Star Wars. I'm consuming as much Star Wars as I can, chatting about it all the time, listening to the soundtracks, humming the soundtracks. Whenever I go up to an automatic door at like a grocery store, you already know I'm like this, using the force
Every
on the
time,
doors
dude.
every time, bro.
As you
Um,
walk in, you just silently, like, just to yourself.
yes.
I did.
But yeah, no, like it is more than me just being a fan. Like it really is a huge part of my life. Um, It's how I've connected with a lot of my friends. It's how like this podcast started. I mean, like even though this isn't a Star Wars podcast, the name comes from Star Wars. Us doing podcasting together is because of our love of Star Wars. That's how we became friends. And so it's such a like a cherished part of my life. And it's one of those things that like I want to pass that tradition down when I, have a family of my own someday and stuff like that. So it really is much more than just being a fan.
Mm.
It means so much to me. And so um yeah, I can talk Star Wars all day. And so it's it's great that we're just dedicating an entire episode just to chatting it up about why we love Star Wars.
Yeah, and to what you just said, James, I think the first time I don't know if it was the first time we ever actually, I think it was the first time we ever met like over camera.
Yeah, it was.
You came on and talked the Last Jedi on my old Star Wars podcast. Like it was probably 4 years. Oh, it was a long time. It was a long time ago.
It was way more than 3 years ago.
Was it
This was
like?
this
Yeah,
was
I guess you're.
probably
It was
because
probably like
Last
4 or
Jedi was
5.
2017. It probably was like 2018, 2019. No, it was before Rise of Skywalker. It was 2018.
Oh my! Are you sure it was before Rise of
I
Skywalker?
know for a fact it was before Rise
Oh
of
my gosh,
Skywalker.
what's
Yeah.
happening? I
That thing
forgot how
was
old
7 years ago,
I
Michael.
forgot how old my Star Wars podcast actually was. Yeah, so I had you on there, and then Drew and I, we were like members of like multiple chats,
Yeah,
but we
we were
weren't
in
like
chats and groups.
really friends yet. It was
Yeah.
just like we were in these chats, in groups, and we would like talk to each other a little bit, but it was just not super. We weren't like talking a lot or anything. But there was this one night where you and I, for whatever reasons, were the only two in the entire chat that stayed up till what was it, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and watched
Yeah.
Star Wars Visions season 1, and we just like we just geeked out about it the entire time.
Yeah.
And then, so like that was like the birthing of our friendship, and you came on the podcast and talked about it too. And so yeah, literally Star Wars is the reason why I have a lot of the friends that I have now. It really is kind of this weird thing, but man, I'll always love Star Wars for that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I guess the
7 years ago.
segue,
What the crap, man.
dude, it's crazy. It's wild to me. Like throwback the Outer Rim, a Star Wars group. James and
group.
I are admins of that group. It's kind of fizzled out post
Maybe we
Rise of
should
the
bring it
Skywalker.
back. I don't know.
We
Yeah.
should. But it plateaued. It was growing a lot. The Rise of Skywalker happened, and then honestly, like it was growing a lot during Mando season 1, even season 2 a bit. But after that, it kind of plateaued. But it's a pretty sizable Star Wars group. You can join it if you want to. If you're listening to this, people still posting it, so that's cool.
Also
But
join our Facebook group. We have one.
Yeah, join ours.
Yeah.
Banter Fodder, a
Whoa,
film and television discussion
right.
group. We post in there too. It's pretty active. But yeah, like it's crazy. Like the beginnings of these friendships have gone like way back. So it's just wild that it's been that many years.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing that I really wanted to talk about uh of why I love Star Wars. Um you can't like pinpoint just one thing. Like we were talking about, we grew up watching all the movies and watching all the shows, and there's all these like different aspects of Star Wars that I love. But to me, Star Wars has always been my favorite when it's, you know, the good guys fighting the evil. It's the rebels fighting against the empire. It's the scoundrels, yes, I love Jedi. I love lightsabers, but to me my favorite Star Wars is when it's Han Solo. It's when it's Kanan and the rest of the Rebels crew. It's when it's Andor, Rogue One. To me that is like my favorite kind of Star Wars. I think when you scale it back from the Jedi and you put more of a focus on, you know, just average people trying to make their way through the galaxy, that to me is when Star Wars is like at an all-time high. And I think it reaches like some of its highest like thematic potential. Which is why like Andor to me is like just that is like some of the most special and greatest Star Wars to me. Um I love the way that Gilroy has implemented so many aspects of like revolutions and rebellions and empires and authoritarians and um like dictators, and like seeing like all of these like inner workings of like how these different political groups are working. um and you get the espionage, and you get like just the gritty, like just trying to survive in the galaxy. To me, like that is like what makes Star Wars for me. um but then you have the Clone Wars and you have the Jedi at like when they're at their height. Like it's just crazy to me how it's such a massive franchise that's been going on for as long as it has, and it has so many different flavors, um genres that it can dive into, and there's something for everyone there. um like I don't know. It's the only franchise to me that like really can dip its toes in everything. It has everything.
It's got it all.
It's got it all. um yeah, it really is the one franchise that can just try anything, and even if it doesn't always hit, like they did it and it can still feel like Star Wars. I think that's what's so crazy to me. Like you can't
Mhm.
you could not get that with Lord of the Rings. You could not get that with a lot of other franchises, a lot of other series. Um and so I think that's just part of the reason why like Star Wars has stuck with me for such a long time, because there's always ways to keep it fresh and exciting.
Real quick, Slasher Fred says, "Did you know that in the '80s there were two Ewok TV movies?" Yes, yes, we did know those were
We
a
do
thing,
know.
and we
Yeah.
like to not talk about them.
But
I
even
don't.
then, I love that those exist.
I do
I was
too.
about to say
Those are
they fall into that category of like I like I'm kind of glad they exist because
yeah.
it's just a funny flavor.
And you
Like
know what? I
Yeah.
also just love that they actually are on Disney Plus.
yeah,
They're
like it's
they're
that
in the
they're
vintage section or whatever. I
yeah
I kind of
with
love that.
droids and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I it's
But boy, are they're bad.
I mean it's how I feel about the holiday special or even though like victory celebration over Yub Nub all day every
All
day,
day,
it's
every day.
obvious you're a liar if you disagree.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same, like I'm glad Yub Nub is also a thing that exists though, because it's just a fun flavor. Like playing Battlefront 2 on the PS2, and all of a sudden Yub Nub starts playing while I'm plowing through clones with Darth
Yeah.
Maul. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is the vibe. Like it's one of those things that I'm like, I'm happy is out there. Like I'm glad this is a thing that's out there because it's just kind of funny and fun to me.
Yeah.
Uh, we're talking about like all of the huge part of basically all of these conversations so far is just like the variety of
Mhm.
stuff there. And on like gun to my head, I don't know if I could choose like a favorite like era or genre or anything in this. It's like I don't know. And we're talking about, like I'm with Michael in that like the older I get, the more things I find to love. but
Yeah.
everything that I loved about it when I was 7 is still here. And maybe
Yeah.
even that more. I'm like, you know what? The Rancor is cooler than I ever even could have thought. So it's like I love it for all the same reasons I loved it as a kid. And I guess because I love it more than I did as a kid, it's actually true that all of those little things I love even more now. Like
Yeah.
lightsabers really are the coolest thing ever, man. The
They
all
really
of
are.
this is so like sometimes I'm like mate like I have my I have my list of my movies in order, um, but I don't know that like my list of like prefer of my ranking of Star Wars movies necessarily even indicates my preference for like the kind of thing Star Wars is, because there's sometimes that I'm just sitting back and I'm thinking about like the final duel and Revenge of the Sith, which is in my top 5. And I'm like, maybe that's everything perfect about Star Wars right there. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's like Star Wars at its peak, or like the throne room scene in Return of the Jedi, which might actually be. But like the street level stuff of Andor, the the military stuff of the Clone Wars, and it's just the super fun ensemble of Rebel, like it just whatever they're like wherever we're at, I'm like maybe this is peak Star Wars. No,
Yeah.
this is peak Star Wars, because like I really love both the specific kind of like all the detail that Gilroy puts into Andor, and the believability and the realism and the like the specificity of those conflicts, but I also love me some just mythic
Mm,
archetypal storytelling as well. That's
Yeah.
not like we brought 1200 historical, you know, eh, moments that all influences this. No. This is like the hero. This is like the villain, and this is the like it's just that kind of like Luke Skywalker represents every nameless hero who stepped into a story and found himself like the protagonist, and
Yeah.
Vader, especially in A New Hope, just represents like that tower of evil that you're just like, regardless of whether we're at the most mythic kind of like storytelling, or you know the specifics of Andor and Rogue One, and I'm just like I love all of this. Just that everything
yeah,
here is so good.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think like, like I was saying, the scoundrels, the rebels, the the Han Solos, the Andors, and the show itself, Andor, like that kind of aspect of Star Wars might be my favorite. But like, do I want all of Star Wars to be like that? No. Like, I want those mythic stories that we get from the trilogies. I want, the goofy stuff that we get from the prequels. Like, I want it all. Like, I don't want to ever live in like one singular space of Star Wars for like the rest of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what like makes it so much fun to watch.
yeah. I'm with you guys. It's like I think if you put a gun to my head, and it would still be really difficult, but I think my favorite Star Wars is gonna come down to like the more mythic like Jedi stuff. I think there's something about that will always make me feel something more than anything else does. Um, but I also love that we have the Bad Batch. Like,
Yeah.
who would have thought that we'd have a show about defective clones, and that actually like I don't know, they that show actually goes pretty hard. Like that
Season
episode,
3, dude,
phew.
Yeah.
especially.
I'm like
and even in
halfway
the
through
first
season 3 now and it's awesome.
and even in the first couple of seasons, like that maybe like not every episode would be like this, but like every now and then they would have like a crosshair focused episode, and it'd be like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, like
Yeah.
that was that was cinema. Like that was like real character driven television, and it's about a defective clone whose like superpower is really good at shooting. Like how are they doing this to me? And I just love that Star Wars can be that. Star Wars can be, Mando, like seven samurai kind of thing, and going into villages and saving people, and then that show has like unexpected heart because yeah, Mando's super cool, but then you see him like soften as time goes on. He's like he becomes a dad, but he's still super cool. So he's like a cool dad, cool Star Wars dad. And then like they introduce pirates into the mix, like with Gorian Shard, like Lettuce
And I
Man.
love
God, I love Gorian
I
Shard.
love the way he looks so much.
Yeah,
He is
I
the
love
incredible.
fact that Gorian
puppetry.
Shard exists in the same universe that Cassian Andor does. I
I
love
want
it.
I want Gorian Shard to meet Luthien somehow.
I want that so
Yeah.
bad. Oh man, that's why Star Wars is so great because it can be so many things. And even from the beginning, George Lucas put so many influences into it. It's not like he copied any one thing, but he put a lot of what's the
Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon. I always forget the title of that. Flash Gordon. He obviously loved Dune because Anakin is literally Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
And like there's so much influence that he has. Seven Samurai, all
Well,
these things.
he's also like there's a reason why Joseph Campbell said
Mm.
George Lucas was his greatest student. Like
Oh, I
like
didn't even know
just
that happened.
oh
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And so like Lucas has all these specific loves, but he also just like he loves like you know freaking the Iliad and the Odyssey. It's like
Yeah.
he loves storytelling as
Yeah.
far back as it goes. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's only proper that Star Wars has continued. And I think that is one thing. Like you say what you will about some of the Disney stuff, but like I think that's one thing that Disney's gotten right about Star Wars under their stewardship of it is that there's a whole lot of different stuff that they've been doing. Rebels is Disney Star Wars. Rebels is some of the best Star Wars ever. And it's very different than The Mandalorian, which is very different than The Last Jedi, which is very different than
Then
The
Andor.
Bad Batch, which
Or
is
Andor.
Yeah.
which is very different than Visions, which James, watch it.
This is a canon celebration. I
Please.
should have mentioned that
Oh
initially.
no. Okay. But I think that's one thing Disney's done really, really well is like they've embraced the fact that Star Wars can be all of these things, and they have done that. And I love that about it.
No. Uh, this is this is kind of well, it's on the same topic in terms of like it's just something that permeates all of Star Wars. Like it's just a thing that that's present in everything. But one of the reasons why like I like whenever the idea was coming up about like doing a Star Wars themed month and even just an episode of just like celebrating Star Wars and being like why do we like Star Wars, and I was kind of thinking about like what I like part of why I would like to talk about that, and it sounds like such a silly thing, but it's actually kind of huge to me, is whether this is something that it like we say Star Wars has everything, but every bit of Star Wars also has like there is this thing that's shared among all of them, and that is like aesthetic and sound design. And I feel like with a lot of different series and different movies and shows and stuff, you can be like, oh yeah, that had like I love the way that looked or that sounded, but like to me, I can't really separate my love for this franchise from the way it looks and sounds. Like A New Hope is one of my favorite movies ever made, and part of that, however small, part of that is because of the sound that mouse droid makes when Chewie like roars at it. like that plays a factor into how much I love A New Hope, or just the way blast doors open, like just the sound of an opening and closing blast door.
Yeah.
Obviously the sound of a blaster and the sound of a lightsaber, like
TIE
just whenever
fighter.
Luke first like
Oh,
has
TIE
like whenever he,
Fighter.
or the
Dude.
TIE fighter. Oh my
One of the
gosh,
greatest cinematic sounds of all
yeah,
time. Oh,
ever. Like
Or the usage of the Wilhelm scream, dude.
Yes,
Yes.
we're all for it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm thinking of A New Hope. Whenever Luke's got he's training there, and just the sound of the little, the train, like the training droid going, like,
Oh yeah.
and or and Empire Strikes Back, though, meow, 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 meow. Like all of like,
Gonk.
yeah, like
Gonk.
I don't, I like, I'm playing, or I played the Star Wars Jedi games, and like anytime like they just get a sound perfectly, like just perfect for the movie, I'm like, oh gosh, man, like it's not like, again, it's not like just a little bitty, like just one small piece. It's like the way this looks and sounds. Like I've got right here, I went to Disney and I got this little card. It is like it was basically a gift card. You go and scan this, but it's like it's an Imperial credit chip,
That's so
and
cool.
like to me, this is one of the
Credits?
coolest things. Do it.
Credits. Republic credits. Sorry.
Only money.
And something more real.
But like to me, this is one of the coolest things ever. Like just the aesthetic of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, the way, the like looking at one of the things that like stood out to me whenever I was like becoming a super massive Star Wars fan was watching A New Hope and just being like looking at the hangar and like the Falcon sitting in a hangar surrounded by like stormtroopers. I'm like, why did, like, that just looks awesome. That looks, I love Star Destroyer hangars so much.
Yeah.
Like I love the Imperial shuttles so much. I love the way stormtroopers look so much.
Why? But I'm the same way. Why do we the Imperial shuttles?
They
Like,
look so cool.
Yeah.
And like, dude, whenever Palpatine's one lands in Return of the Jedi,
Dude.
oh my gosh,
oh,
so good.
and the Imperial March is like louder than it's ever been.
Yes. Oh,
And
it's-
and Vader is like super shiny and like dolled up.
I love how like the Imperial aesthetic is like so pristine and like sterile, and then you compare that to the Rebels, and they're just like they're wearing like like scraps and like all of their equipment is like beat up and scuffed. Like, oh, it's so good. Like having that contrast.
They're
And
they're
like
using ships that they stole that were basically just junkyard ships.
yeah, they were
that
like
nobody wanted
ships that were
anymore.
like 50 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like buying like I don't know, like a car from like 30 years ago
Yeah.
in a battle as your
Yeah.
like mode of transportation against
Yeah.
like people with like electric cars or something. Like well like even the way that like Disney has carried that aesthetic through like with the sequel era, dude, like the First Order might be like some of my favorite aesthetic.
Whenever in the first like couple minutes of The Force Awakens with the flashing lights over the stormtroopers,
The
and that
shots,
shot-
yeah, dude. The
Dude,
stormtrooper
those
shots.
shots are like,
One of my favorite
Shots
openings,
speak.
honestly. It's so
Yeah.
good.
and I
Ugh.
love First Order stormtrooper armor. I think it is the perfect continuation. I think the continuation from clone to stormtrooper to First Order, like it's one of the coolest evolutions in design to watch play out across the series.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think it looks great. I love that shot too so much. It's so JJ too.
Yeah,
It's
in all the
so
right
JJ
ways.
in every right way. Oh yeah, they're just like their heads are bobbing in the ship.
Why is that so cool? Just the close-ups of the helmets, just in the flashing. Oh man, I love
Well,
it.
yeah, because I feel like a lot of Star Wars, and I kind of love this about it, but they don't show that stuff. They make it look like it's all like, if you're in the ship, it's all good.
Yeah.
But like, I love that this small ship with all these stormtroopers in it was like, it's so small that they feel every little
Yeah.
jostle, and they're just like, and they look so cool. That whole scene, that whole sequence when Kylo lands and
Man.
Dude, I know it's
dun,
yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
The note, it's so few notes, but when they play, dude, I get like chills.
Yeah.
I'm such a Kylo freaking stan, dude. I love
Oh,
Kylo
yeah.
so much.
well, dude,
And
okay,
then-
let's talk about this. The intros to those characters in The Force Awakens. Honestly, the intros to Poe and to Finn and to Rey are perfect.
And to Kylo.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, sorry, and,
Yeah.
and Kylo.
Yeah.
All of their intros are literally perfection, and
Mhm.
they tell so much without even without even saying all that much. We learn so much about Rey as a scavenger, just watching her do a day in her life.
Yeah.
It's
And just
Visual
watching
story, like
her-
the
man, I love the
definition of
Force
visual
Awakens so much.
storytelling.
It's so good. And like the just showing on her wall how many days she's notated that she's been waiting, and
Yeah.
she's eating this gross looking space biscuit like while
Dude,
she's
that
like
is like one
watching
of
the
the
ship take off.
coolest like things though. The
Oh,
dude,
effect
that
of it
effect
so
is
is
cool.
so
awesome.
awesome.
So cool. And then you go, and then you have the Kylo stuff with Finn. Oh my gosh, the Finn's intro where he decides not to take part
And
in
marking him with the blood so you
marking
can
him with the
always keep
blood.
up with him in the scene is like,
Brilliant. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And
guys,
also
I
like,
love
oh,
that movie so
stormtrooper blood. I
much.
don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. Oh, like that movie to me, and that's one thing JJ does so well is introduce characters. I just feel like even he did it in Mission Impossible. In Mission
Yeah.
Impossible 3, he like
Yeah.
reintroduced us to Ethan Hunt and like a new kind of team. And
Mhm.
and I don't know, the way that he just does that, I just think he's so good at it.
I also think he works with ensembles almost better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he,
It's a
whether
real
it's Star
skill.
Wars, like it is, like whether it's Star Wars or Star
Star
Trek,
Trek, dude.
like when you just put these characters on a bridge, like nobody, they're not. There's no action. It's just characters standing around. And JJ is like, you know what? I can take characters standing around and I can do my cool little whip Dutch angles
Oh,
and I can
So good.
put these, just these peppy bits of dialogue in these characters'
And we're
mouths.
gonna go sicko mode with those lens flares.
Oh, we will. And like he can take like a conversation among like five people on the bridge of a ship and turn it into like the most exciting thing in the
Yeah.
movie. I
yeah.
love it. And
There's
like
just something about like he has such a kinetic energy to his
Yep.
direction. Every piece that he does, even like I've only seen the first episode, but I watched the first episode of Duster, and or maybe I watched the first two, I can't remember, but I really enjoyed what I've seen so far. And he does the same thing. He has that like really like quick, like energetic character introduction with just the direction going crazy, and like scenes where you're like, oh, this doesn't need to like have this much energy behind it. Like usually it would just be like super static and like, you know, um shot, reverse shot, over the shoulder, like very basic stuff. Like he's always just going crazy with it, and like it's just universal across his work, and I think it fits Star Wars so perfectly.
Don't get me
I,
started on the Lost Pilot.
oh, it's so good. Also, I think like sometimes I think maybe to go back to an earlier conversation to make it relevant here when we're talking about our favorite Star Wars. Maybe my favorite Star Wars though is Star Wars when it's also like a genuinely fun in whatever era, like prequel, original trilogy, sequel trilogy. All of those have moments where it's just at its most fun. That might be my favorite, which is sometimes a departure because I tend to like my dark brooding movies. But when it comes to Star Wars, I just want to like I want it all really. I do like I love the political stuff of the prequels. People can complain about it being boring all they want. I don't care. Dude, if whenever the Senate chamber looks that cool, yeah, let's talk about trade disputes. That's all I want to do in that chamber. The thing's awesome. So like I would love just like a political, like a non-action, just political thriller Star Wars movie. I'd be down for that. But like I do love Star Wars when it's just pure fun. And I think the escape scene with Poe and Finn in The Force Awakens is like top 5 most purely like fun, enjoyable, watchable scenes in like the franchise.
Why are you doing this? Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You need a pilot. I need a pilot.
They're back
Dude,
and
it's
forth.
amazing,
It's
man.
so good.
Okay,
FN 218. I'm not calling you that, Finn. Finn, I
real
like it.
quick.
It's just like their bromance, the way that is established.
Good to
in
meet
that
you too,
scene.
Finn. I love.
So perfect. It's been a few years since I've watched it, it's the 10-year anniversary this year. I feel like we gotta review it this month.
Uh, oh,
Ooh, that's a
that
fun
would
idea.
that's a good idea.
That's a fun idea
Yeah.
because we couldn't. Yeah, we were trying to think of some ideas. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just say it. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Force
let's do it.
Awakens.
I'm
I did not see
100%
that
down.
coming, but
I didn't either.
when you said that, I was like, let's
It makes
do it.
perfect
Yeah.
sense.
The Force Awakens, man, like I I there's a reason why it's probably like it might be my second favorite Star Wars movie. Like there's like obviously I love A New Hope, so I'm gonna love The Force Awakens
Yeah.
because there's some overlap between things. But like those character introductions, JJ's freaking direction, the score,
The March
and
of the Resistance.
yeah, March of Resistance is an all timer for me. I freaking love that theme. I hum it in my head all the time. Um,
So good.
I man, it's amazing. But even like the lead up, like y'all were talking about, the first time they showed a teaser for it and the first trailer for it, like there was an awakening and it was in my pants, man. Like-
You actually said it.
yeah, I had that one primed for earlier and I didn't say it and I was like I gotta do it. But like really though, like that movie, I've seen it so many times.
Oh,
It's probably the most watched movie I've seen on the big screen. I watched that movie like 6 times or something like that.
Nice.
Like and like half of those was in IMAX.
Can we
Oof,
agree lightsaber cross guards is freaking awesome?
yes,
yes, we can
absolutely.
agree.
I spent
And anybody who
$200 on a model of Kylo Ren's lightsaber at Disney, dude.
worth every penny,
It was
Yes,
worth
sir.
every penny because that thing is sick.
dude.
Yeah.
I think that it's so cool, and anybody who thinks otherwise is dumb. I'm just gonna say it. No, no, honestly though, it's so cool, and I actually really love the the approach they took to the lightsabers in the sequel trilogy. I feel like they made them more like broadswords, like really heavy almost,
Yeah.
and as opposed to like, you know, basically toothpicks in the prequels where they could jump around and all that stuff.
I was about to say, well, I
I
love
love
it
the
all.
prequel stuff. I'm just saying, like, the lightsabers felt so light, like they had no weight to them. But I love that in the sequels that they made it to where it really takes more of a power approach,
Yeah.
and I you really feel that in the battles. And so like people complain about the lightsaber battles in the sequels not feeling as like, as cool as the prequels. And I get it if you prefer the dance like style, but I love how much you can really feel the weight of that hitting, and like the sound design when they clash, it feels a little different in the sequels. And I think there's something about it that I just freaking love. And it's one of the reasons why I think that throne room sequence in The Last Jedi is so freaking cool. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I love the duels in the sequels.
I do
I really
too.
do.
They're they're well, first of all, it's not true that they're not super choreographed. They're just a lot more emotionally choreographed.
Yeah, I
Like
didn't
when
mean they weren't
oh
super
no, I'm not
choreographed.
talking about you. I'm talking about like when people
Right,
say
right.
the
Yeah.
prequels are choreographed. This is like no, it's there's a lot like that one, the forest fight. First of all, it's just gorgeously shot at the end of
Oh yeah.
the Force
And it's a
Awakens.
set too. It's such a
Yeah,
sick set.
yeah.
Oh,
And so like but those are like the choreography includes the emotions and motivations of the characters where like everybody is in such a frail emotional state by the end of that movie, like with what Kylo's just done, her like what just happened in front of her eyes and her desperation not to die, like it's just yeah, these
Kylo
are not
taking a literal
yeah.
bowcaster shot and like just like oh nothing happened. Like the fact that like he was even alive is insane because anyone else would die by a bowcaster.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, there's just I love the weightiness of the lightsabers in
Mhm.
the sequel. trilogy. And like there's also still a lot of like prequel feeling stuff. Like they'll do flips sometimes. They'll do like, you know, like the things that you'd expect
To its credit,
from
Rise of
the
Skywalker
prequels.
I was gonna
incorporates
say,
some
yeah,
stuff in really cool ways.
they
Yes.
did. The fight on the Death
Exegol.
Star. No,
Oh yeah.
the on the Death Star ruins
Yeah.
Yeah.
is really cool in
Yeah.
the water and stuff.
Ray's flip over Kylo's ship
Oh, come on,
is
dude. It's so
the
sick. I
coolest
don't even
thing.
care. Dude, it's so
Yeah.
sick.
And then I think like one of the all-time great moments, like the throne room in The Last Jedi, but there's the one scene or the one part of the scene where where Rey throws Kylo the lightsaber and then he just presses the button and it is, oh man, so
It's
That's
cool.
so good.
if the throne room scene in Return of the Jedi has like to me the number one, I think the number two spot for me personally is again in the throne room scene of The Last Jedi. Like there are two moments in that like kind of take my breath away. And they basically bookend it as well, where like whenever the lightsaber ignites on Snoke, like first of all, what a gasp! But
Oh
whenever
yeah.
that lightsaber jumps to the frame and Ray's hand reaches
Dude,
into frame and grabs it, and the music
and the
swells,
Force theme, frick, dude.
that is one of the greatest single moments in a movie ever. And like the other moment at the end of it, and this was I think we may have talked about this on the podcast before, but I had a really mixed reaction the first time I saw Last Jedi. I went for literally 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, I
I
went
think we
from I
all
think I
did.
love this to I think I hate this to I think I love this to no, I think I hate this. Like just nonstop. It was the most whirlwind viewing ever. But one of the moments that got me back to the oh no, I love this was the fights happening, and I'm in my mind I've kind of already thought, okay, yeah, Ray and Kylo, they're on the same side now. You had that back-to-back shot. She's kind of pulled him over. I don't know what the story is going to be from here on. If Kylo's a good guy, whatever, blah blah blah. But I bought into like that's what's happening now. Is they're on the same side. And whenever she runs to the window and she's like, "Oh, you can call off the attack now," and she turns around and the shot is just of Kylo staring at an
Is
empty
that the
throne.
throne?
That
Mm.
shot is
Yeah.
perfection. Oh,
Dude, it's. I'm just like thinking about it, getting chills too. And then following that, the moment where her and Kylo are both pulling the saber at the same time, and it's just suspended there, and then all the stories going on converge
oh,
at the same time. It's just so good. It's just so good.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars.
that that
Yeah.
that could be a fun look. What are just while we're celebrating all
Let's
things
do
Star
it.
Wars?
Let's do it.
What
What is
are
it?
what are moments like we love? Almost all of these movies and all of these shows, but like, what are some of the moments that just stick out to you? Or like this moment to me is just where's the kind of thing where just recalling it kind of gives you goosebumps.
Hmm. Let me
Because I
think
got
about
one
it.
from most of the movies
Oh
have
yeah. I
something
could
that like
name multiple from each movie.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Dude, I get goosebumps every single time like right before the Death Star blows up and Luke's like just about to launch the missile and you just hear dun dun
dun
dun
dun,
dun.
dun. There's
Man.
something about that like
Yep.
Mm.
the exhale after he releases is like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
All timer
yeah.
for me. Um another moment I honestly just because I rewatched it recently, Rogue One. There's several moments. Whenever uh, is it Jeddah? Yeah, Jeddah.
Yeah.
Um, whenever it gets hit with the Death Star,
There
and
is
like
no horizon.
yeah, and then like following that up with the ending of the film, man,
Yeah.
just
So good.
Jack
Anytime Krennic is on screen.
True.
chills.
Yeah.
I love critics so much.
Jack stole mine. Kanan's death in
Oh
Rebels.
my gosh.
I don't know if any Star Wars has ever made me feel as much as that. Honest to God, I think there's something about when Kanan. I loved Kanan from the get go. I loved that he is a Jedi, but he didn't have, because of what happened when he was a kid, he has been learning on his own. He's rough around the edges. He is not remotely confident as a teacher. And honestly, dude, I relate a lot to Kanan. I just feel like there's a lot of like his insecurities. Like when he's insecure as a leader, I'm like, I've felt that before. Like I don't know. There's something about him as a character I've always connected with a lot. And but when he gets his sight taken away in
Man.
the finale of season 2, which again, that's an all-timer.
Oh my gosh, dude,
Oh
that
man.
episode is I get chills.
Woo. That
Oh, dude,
episode
chills at
has
the end of that episode.
that episode has
The
everything.
yeah, it
um,
does. The
uh, but when he gets his sight taken away, his character becomes something that it went from being a really cool character that I love to being like a really
an
special
all-time.
all-time character for me. Like he might I did rank my characters a while back. I think he holds second behind only Luke Skywalker for me as a character in Star Wars. And it's because of his journey all the way through to the end where he sacrifices it all, and the way that that was done, and he gets his sight back for for an instant, and he gets to see Hera again
So
one
beautiful.
last time, and then Force pushes them all away. Frick, dude. Jack, man. Oh,
I'm so
I'm
glad
with
Jack
you.
brought that up.
I well, I was going to if he didn't. Like literally, that's what I
Okay.
was gonna say. Like because that was literally, I don't know that there's any Star Wars like when I do my Rebels rewatch, which happens every year or so. I always I'm excited for. I think the episode's called Jedi Knight. I'm excited for it, but I'm also dreading it at the same time because I know what I have to prepare myself for, and I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Um, and it's just it hits me so
Yeah.
hard, unbelievably hard. And along that same line, the final arc of the Clone Wars, um, like all of the minutes, all of the moments of that, but particularly, I'll just say when the clones line up with Ahsoka's face paint, like
Dude,
Ahsoka's
I felt
Dude,
something,
yeah.
man.
like when she says you don't have to call me commander, he's like, sure thing, commander.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Oh man, the animated series just
They're
do
so
it.
to to go back to Rebels real quick and that
Okay,
same
fine.
or well, that I guess we'll have to go back to Rebels. I remember whenever Gabe's in the chat, whenever we were going through Star Wars for franchise fatigue and we were going
Shout out.
through Rebels, uh I remember I had like I was actually like I was taking notes with like a pen and paper, and I remember watching it's the episode after the one where Kanan
Dude.
dies. And I guess we should say that like we're doing a full Star Wars spoilers, like we're talking about all of Star Wars. So
Yeah.
but like the episode after he dies to me is one of the single greatest episodes of the franchise. And
Yeah.
I cannot believe it aired on Disney XD. Like it is there's almost no action at all. It is like 30 minutes of characters being sad individually. Like
In different
everybody's
ways.
just
Mhm.
off on their own working through their grief in very individual ways that are super specific to their character. And I remember there was a time like I looked down to take a note, and it was one of the funny things, like the cliche thing of like I had tears falling on the notes I was writing. But like that
Yes.
episode killed me. I had tears. I was like, this is oh my gosh, it's so good.
They just
And
let
then
you sit in it with the characters.
exactly there's no rush to try to get past that. It just that episode is all about the consequences of that and the fallout his death has. And Oh, that episode is so good. And
Chopper
then for
comforting
the
Hera.
it's so sweet. And then to go to Clone Wars, there's two episodes. There's probably a lot, but there's the two moments that come to mind in Clone Wars are one, the end of that last arc, where like the show has come so far from some of the silliness of like the initial movie and first season, like ending it with Vader at that crash site and the music that
One of the
just
greatest tracks of Star Wars ever.
yes.
Dude, the
Incredible.
Kiners were cooking on that arc
Yes. And
because
that
they had classic, like John Williams-esque Star Wars music until like the last two episodes. It was like Blade Runner.
I
It
know,
was,
and I
Yeah.
love when they go Blade Runner. Like
It's
basically
so
all of
good.
season 3 of the Bad Batch is
it's
Blade
Blade
Runner,
Runner. Yeah,
and I love it so
they're
much.
so good at it.
And like all of Dooku's arc in the Tales of the Jedi
Yep.
is that like I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, just that image of Vader looking at these helmets and like this kind of monument left behind it. I'm like, this is a kids show. This started out on Cartoon Network, dude. This is
He
so
used to
intense.
fight alongside those helmets. Like, oh my gosh. It's
And then
just
the other Clone Wars to me, and this is one where like again, no shame, I cry every time when Ahsoka leaves the Order.
yeah.
That whenever
Mhm.
she says "I know" to Anakin, and like how much is conveyed to that, and just that shot of him like almost in disbelief, the shot of the lone figure walking away while that music
That
plays.
cello, dude.
Oh, that cello like tears at my soul. And then just playing that beautiful version of her theme over the credits, dude. The credits of that, like, oh my gosh. So that moment is like that arc is probably still my favorite arc of any Star Wars TV show is the Wrong Jedi arc, because like Ahsoka is like one of my favorite characters ever. Uh, and yeah, that the ending to that is just like transcendent to me.
Frick. Okay, I got one. It's always people dying, but Luke's death in
Oh,
The Last Jedi. I'm just gonna get slightly salty here, but if people say Luke died a coward, I want to punch them in the freaking face, dude. I hate that so much. Okay, now back to positive. I just Luke going out like that, projecting himself across the galaxy, knowing it's going to take his life, doing the ultimate Jedi thing and defeating, like distracting and you not using violence against his nephew while still giving them time to escape. And then the words that he says to Kylo, like, see you around, kid. And like, which also makes me wish that he appeared to him in The Rise of Skywalker instead of Han sometimes,
yeah.
but it's okay. And
That's the
then
most Jedi act ever.
ever,
Probably.
ever, it is so, it's so beautiful. And then when it cuts back to Luke, like levitating, and the Force music is going, I'm getting chills, dude.
The twin sons.
The twin sons, he has found his peace and purpose again.
Mm.
And I just, dude, it is just, to me, it is the ultimate way for a Skywalker to go out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it could have been any better. I really, really don't.
The Last Jedi is so lovingly in dialogue with the prequels, in ways I don't think people appreciate. Um, because
Yeah.
Lucas starts that conversation about what are the Jedi in the prequels,
Yeah.
and because he started that kind of after the original trilogy, just by nature of it, that means he can't continue that prequel conversation in the original trilogy because it already happened.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, the Last Jedi picks that conversation up that he started, and that idea of like dying in a non-violent way, distracting them, allowing for others to escape and live. Like the thing that always reminds me of is when Mace Windu says, "We're peacekeepers, not soldiers," and the intentional hypocrisy you're supposed to hear in that line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, you want, like, that's where my mind goes of like of Luke being that like that the true Jedi right there in that moment. Uh, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
it's such an incredible continuation of so many of the ideas from that the trilogy before.
Yeah.
Also, a little humor before that when they were shooting him from the AT-AT or whatever that new
Yeah.
version of it is, and he's like, more, more,
More.
and then Hux is like, you think you got him?
I
Dude,
love their
I love it
banter.
so much.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
You
so
know,
good.
also to like lean into another aspect of what does it mean to be a Jedi? I love how like, you get that dialogue in the sequel trilogy, but you also get the dialogue of like who can be a Jedi. And The Last Jedi does it perfectly. And
Yeah.
to this day I will defend the ending. I love Broom Boy using the Force.
Yes.
Like that is one of those scenes, like especially now, like it is a scene that I get chills from. Just because of how powerful it is. That's why, like, dude, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi to me are some of the most powerful thematically, and Rey is one of my favorite, like, top 5 Jedi for me because of how they were like setting up her character.
Yep.
Like, she was a nobody, and that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
she still like did incredible things, and so like, man, I don't know. They were cooking.
Uh, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna use it to segue to a different moment, but it would take away from that moment. So
Okay, real quick before we segue out of the Last Jedi, or maybe back into it. I don't know, but I just wanted to say too, like that ending is my favorite ending shot in Star Wars. Period. When he's looking up at the stars with that like fake sword in his hand, or sorry, it's a broom with the broom in his hand as a sword. Um, that ending where they're playing with their toys, like reenacting Luke Skywalker, the legend
Jedi Master.
Jedi Master, and like I don't. There's some that whole ending to me. I love that Ryan Johnson did that because you know what? Most Star Wars movies, and this is not shade to them. I actually love that Star Wars does this. The ending to Star Wars movies tends to be like just really like, um, well, I mean, think about it. You had the final scene right there on the Falcon. You had the final scene right there, ready to go. It was like, yeah, we have everything we need, and it backs up, and you see everybody on the
Yeah.
Falcon. Credits. It's perfect, right?
It's
No,
shot like that's what's
it's
gonna
like it's
happen.
going like that's how you feel, and it could have been a great ending. I wouldn't have complained about that, but we get one more little ending, and to me, it wraps up everything the movie is saying, and in such a beautiful, symbolic way. And him staring up at the stars, knowing he's destined for more, like Luke Skywalker. I just think there's something so powerful about that. It is my favorite ending to any Star Wars movie ever. It really
See,
is.
there's the segue because what I was gonna say, like the feel, like again, if I think Last Jedi is lovingly in dialogue with the prequels, it's also obviously lovingly in dialogue with the original trilogy because what is that scene evoking if not binary sunsets from A New Hope?
Yeah,
That's what that is, and so that's another, that binary sunset is the basically the scene I have in mind with the idea of like what are the moments
Yep.
of
when Luke
course you can't leave that one off.
goes
Yeah,
and like he hikes his neon up and he just stares at those suns and the music plays. That to me, whenever I got to see that on the big screen, it was just like a rush. I was like, this is so this is so cinematic and beautiful, and I there's that moment every time it happens, however many times. A New Hope is the Star Wars movie I've watched the most, definitely. And every time that moment happens, it's just. pure magic,
Yeah.
just pure. Every so much of what I love about Star Wars that I did just the adventure and the high drama and the it's the excitement for what could be on the horizon is that moment is to me just absolute
The
perfection.
binary sunset scene, I feel like, well, I have two things that I want to say. I feel like that's like one of the first scenes, like as a kid, way before I started getting like super into film and cinema and everything, and understanding cinema. I think like that's one of those scenes that like I even recognized like as a kid. I was like, there's something like special here.
Yeah.
um, it just
Mm.
it transcends. And then the other thing I wanted to say, that feeling that you get when watching when you watch the binary sunset scene, like that, like the way Luke is looking out onto the horizon, that's how I feel like every time I'm seated in the theater for a new Star Wars movie and that opening crawl hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just I'm I'm reflecting, and I'm like getting prepared, and I'm imagining like what could happen, like what I'm about to experience and witness. Like it's so good. All time,
Mhm.
all time great scene.
Dude, I will be when Star Wars is back in the theater, I will be the most weird combination of excited and nervous that I've ever been. Like I
Yeah.
in a movie. I really don't I don't know what I'll do.
Mhm.
I don't know how I'll feel, but ugh.
And if it goes well, the excitement when those closing credits hit is going to be astronomical.
Yeah.
If we can
Oh,
make it through a movie and it's genuinely great, we don't have we don't have to worry about its quality anymore. When that music hits at the end, dude, I'm going to be skipping out of the theater like a
Oh yeah.
little kid.
yeah.
I-
Uh
And
Another moment for me, and then I do feel like Jack brought up a fun little topic. We could do favorite bad guys. Um that could be fun. Um but one moment I feel like is another one that's the epitome of Star Wars and why I love it. Is Luke throwing down his saber
mm,
and saying, "Never. I'm a Jedi like my father before me." At the end of Return of the Jedi, to me, like that moment after he had just he almost just killed his dad, um, and because Vader said sister, and Luke did not. Yeah, and he goes that scene, that shot of them moving in the
yes,
darkness with that
the
dark.
green on the red in the low light. Oh my gosh,
Also,
dude.
okay, back to just the fun things to love about Star Wars. I just love Luke's green saber.
Yep. The
Yeah.
I
goat.
just
The
love
goat
it
saber to
so
me.
much more than the blue. And the blue's iconic, but the green to me all day, every day.
Green
Um,
suit, the green saber with the black suit is the coolest look, dude.
oh man, oh,
Yeah.
and he, dude, he almost kills Vader. Looks down at at Vader's arm that has been chopped off. Looks down at his own hand and sees this is what I could have become, and then he turns around and just stares down the Emperor and just throws his saber down and says, "No, you almost got me, but no, I'm not doing this."
Oh my
And
gosh, it's so good.
and then Vader freaking saving his life after that. And I'm gonna pretend the special edition didn't add in no after it because that's one change that I really wish they would have done. But it's just so good. All-time moment in cinema for me.
Truly. If I could get one more in before we go villains, another one to me that just fills me with that sense of just magic and kind of awe is Yoda lifting the X-wing in Empire.
Ooh,
Yoda's
yeah.
theme just is like a top 5 theme in the series for me, and I feel just as awestruck as Luke does watching that. Like whenever the music crescendos, and you've just got the wide shot, and it's fully out of it, and it's hovering. Like, to me, that scene is one of the most incredible bits of movie magic ever. And we're it's a green puppet pretending to lift a non like a big space plane, and I'm like, this is incredible. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I
Yeah.
get goosebumps every time I watch that scene.
I don't believe it. That's why you fail.
Oh.
When Michael said, "I don't believe it," it reminded me of a quote from something completely off topic, but I don't believe it. We've won.
They're retreating. We
They're
won.
retreating. We won. This is bad. Oh, this is real bad.
What is this? I know this.
It's from
Halo.
Halo 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Oh man. So bad guys.
Bad guys.
We
Star Wars has
already
some good
mentioned
ones.
him, but Kylo Ren is just all timer for me. And say what you will about the Rise of Skywalker, and like let's just take that out of the equation for the purpose of this. In The Force Awakens, and especially in The Last Jedi, all-time great villain for me, especially for Star Wars.
They set up the perfect big bag,
Yeah.
big bad, like
Yes,
right there. They had him.
Perfect.
We can't go negative. I'm gonna get too
No,
angry.
that's where I'm stopping. But they set him up like they had it right there.
Yeah. It's a shame that they didn't keep with that, but man, I love how different he is from Vader.
Yeah.
They could have done
He
Vader.
hates how different he is from Vader.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so fun, man. But like, they could have totally easily gone Vader 2.0 with him, and like, it would have been fine, I guess. But like, that's boring. Like, doing something completely opposite, where it is someone who wants to be like Vader, but he's just not Vader. But like, some people, I feel like there's like some critics of Kylo that like feel like he's kind of a wimp, but like, dude, he's
Take
a
a
badass.
bowcaster
Like,
bolt, loser.
he takes the bowcaster, and like, there's so much rage behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, only like second to like Maul. Like, there's just this hatred behind
Yeah.
everything that he does. And like, I don't know, I like when he's throwing his temper tantrum and like going ham on the on the like
I do
control
too.
panel, like,
Stormtroopers just walk.
Yeah.
yeah.
Never mind.
And like,
I love
that's
that
like
moment.
such a funny moment, like, with the stormtroopers just like being like,
Yeah.
all right, whatever. Like, I don't know, the self-awareness of like him just being this loose cannon, you know trying so hard to be something that he's not. I don't
And
know,
him
man.
like trying to prove to himself that he's evil by killing his dad.
Yeah.
And that act actually, and what Snoke says to him, the act split you in two. Like the fact that he is struggling within himself, being pulled toward the light, and he hates that he's being pulled toward the light. What a cool concept. I just think he's
Yeah.
such a cool character.
Yeah. He's reverse Anakin.
Yeah.
Anakin is like, he wants to be a Jedi. He
Yeah.
wants the good, and he's pulled by the dark. And then he like wants to be the bad guy, and he's got that tug of the light. It's such a cool
Yeah.
version of that.
I love that. Gabe brought up a really cool one. He said very underrated Star Wars baddie is Paul Bettany from Solo. Is it Dryden Voss? Is that his name? Dryden Voss. Every scene with him is delightful and menacing. Totally agree. Yeah. I love him. Paul Bettany is just good in anything, whether it's A Knight's Tale or or The Avengers or Star Wars. He's just great. Period. Yeah. But I love that's a good one. Gabe.
The way he said, like, he's delightful and menacing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, I love whenever he's sending them on their mission, and he's like, just remember, if it doesn't work out, like I forget what he says, but the way he says it is like it's so.
I'll just
It's
have to
like
kill you.
yeah, but like
Too bad.
I think he says like we'll. It's something like we'll be all out of choices. Like
Yeah.
basically in all but words being like you're dead if this doesn't work. But he says it like it's not gonna be good if you don't. Like
Yeah.
try to remember. Like he's
Yeah.
so like nonchalant about it. I love that so much about him. Yeah, I think he's
One
great.
for me, I mean, I'll just say Tarkin is such a good villain.
Mm.
I love Tarkin as a villain, and I love everything that we've gotten with like the Bad Batch. He's in a little bit, and like Rogue One and
Rebels
Rebels and
showing
We
up.
don't see
Andor.
him in Andor,
But
but
he's mentioned his presence is very much felt in
yeah,
Andor, even though
yeah.
he's not there.
Landing his Star Destroyer on hundreds
The
of
Oh
foremen,
my gosh, dude.
like,
insane.
yeah,
Uh,
he is a special kind of evil. And like, even if you watch like A New Hope, like, I mean, I've always said this. I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but I've always felt like he was the real villain of A New Hope. Um, and Vader really Vader really just listens to him in a lot of ways, and that's not a slight to Vader in any way. I'm just saying Tarkin is the dude. Tarkin like gleefully watches as Alderaan is destroyed. He's like, "What?" And like the way that he just does it so nonchalant, like just kills a planet and doesn't even blink. It's
yeah,
he is truly evil.
yeah,
And I think it's really kind of a pretty cool touch too that Clone Wars kind of had Anakin and Tarkin interact
yeah. I love
early
that arc
on.
too.
And even though like they were like at odds, they were also like, wow, I really respect.
Yeah,
Like there was a mutual respect there. And you could really start to see some cracks in Anakin when he was talking about it. And
mhm,
I really like that little addition to Tarkin's lore
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I love every time Tarkin's come up since A New Hope. Every time, even the little touches of him being at the end of Revenge of the Sith, I'm actually like really into. Uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, and this is I feel like this comes up and depending on what movie we're talking about, but even if you think your movie is just like a silly little movie, getting like although George Lucas didn't think A New Hope was a silly little movie and he wanted to prove that by getting real actors, like this is why you do that.
Yeah.
Like you get freaking Peter Cushing to just
Oh,
kill
dude.
it. He is so evacuate in a moment of triumph. Like every every delivery from him is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll crush the
Yeah.
rebellion with one swift stroke.
Yeah, and we need to roll those R's like crazy,
I
you
can't.
know.
I can't. I've never been
Only
able
Peter
to.
Cushing can.
Yeah. Oh.
On that same, I always kind of oh, Mitch is asking what's on my shirt. Bucky's. Uh every or I kind of break up Star Wars villains kind of into like three categories. There's the bounty hunter slash kind of, just he's not on either side. He's just kind of out for himself kind of villain. My favorite one of that is Cad Bane. Uh, and then I have such a soft spot for the Imperial, like or just the bureaucratic villain, the Hux, the Tarkins. But
Deidre.
my favorite. Oh my gosh, dude! I was feasting with Andor on this. And again in
Real
season
quick,
two.
just since Mitch is back here, just letting you know, we're talking like Star Wars spoilers, so there could be spoilers for like anything Star Wars
Oh
related,
yeah,
including Andor.
it's true.
Has Mitch not seen some of this?
Yeah, he
He's
has
not
not seen some of
seen
this.
Andor yet.
Mitch, what are you doing with your life, bro?
This guy is so good. Uh, but my favorite like bureaucratic villain of the series is Director Krennic.
Yeah. I left him for
I
you.
I love him so much. Um, he's another guy where he'll just take a line on paper. It's not like it's a bad line. It's not like, oh, he takes bad lines and elevates them, but he just takes lines on paper that's like, okay, yeah, that's a line. Like, that makes sense. That character would say it. And for me, if not for anybody else, for me, he makes it iconic. Like in the beginning of Rogue One, Lyra, back from the dead. It's a miracle. Like, I love the way
So
he says
good.
it. Or, we stand amongst my achievements, not yours. Like, every delivery from Ben Mendelsohn is so good. And the fact that he freaking gets choked out by Vader and is like on his hands and
Be careful
knees.
not to choke
Like,
on your own aspirations.
I love that line to
too.
death.
Yeah.
I honest to
Yeah.
God, I love that line.
Yeah.
But whenever whenever like he's fallen on his hands and his knees, has just been choked by like the most menacing figure in the galaxy, and then he looks up, he's like, so you will mention it to the Emperor? Like, dude, this guy is the hardest ladder climber ever. He will do whatever. He is such a fascinating and compelling character to me, and it only gets added to like the conversation between him and Mon Mothma in when they're just dancing about what they're really
Oh,
thinking in the but then like we got a new all-time moment with the was found on yours, and he puts the finger on, oh my gosh, dude.
him and Dedra,
Yes,
Yeah.
dude.
that scene and the way like this, finally he doesn't have a Tarkin or a Vader around. He gets to be the intimidating, threatening guy with all the power, and like just the way he talks down to her, that whole scene, and like the
We'll make do without you.
physicality.
We'll-
Oh yeah,
oh,
just something about the way he carries himself, his body language, the finger thing. Whenever he's like getting up in her face, like he's gonna, bust a blood vessel. Like it just,
he has a cape.
do
He
I?
has a cape.
Yeah, he has
Oh,
a cape.
his cape is
He
so
has a
hard.
freaking cape.
It's so
He's
fabulous
so
too.
cool.
I love his cape so much.
I
Yeah,
really like
I'm.
that scene with him and Partagas in the um the Imperial conference room or whatever the meeting room where it was like Partagas is like talking to him and it's like I don't you really saw a little the insecurity in
Yeah.
Krennic when he was like, I can't remember exactly what Partagas said to him, but it was something like it really got to him and it was like, oh, because he
Yeah.
seemed in Andor, Krennic seemed so confident, in a place of confidence and like assuredness, and in that one scene it was like, oh man, insecure
Mhm.
Krennic's coming in now. And yeah,
It's
I
so
love his he was not in Andor very much, like,
boy.
but
He
every minute he was on screen was just perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
he ranks very highly for me. I love
Yeah.
Krennic so much.
And the fact that he like is the reason, like, ultimately, like, he had all those Imperial officers there at that secret meeting to basically say, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do to the Gormans. Like, and it's pretty, ultimately, like, other people carried it out, but the fact that Krennic is also responsible for the Gorman massacre is pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean,
It makes his death all the more satisfying.
it really does.
I
It
can't wait.
really
I have
does.
not rewatched Rogue One yet,
I'm
but
really mad
Dude.
because I started it and I watched like half of it and I was like, oh, this is so great.
Rewatching it right after.
I was literally
Oh
watching it
man.
like right after and I was so tired. I just couldn't make it all the way
Yeah,
through.
I had to finish
Still
the
haven't
rest
finished it.
like in the morning after, but like, dude, the way it seamlessly moves from the finale into Rogue One, and like also the opening whenever Andor uh meets the rebel at the space station and he ends up killing him.
Yep.
Like, yeah, that there's so much in the movie that's recontextualized for like the better, and I'm like, oh,
Like,
this
oh,
makes sense. Like
he
he's
learned
doing
that from Luthen.
from Luthen, yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, mind
Yeah.
blowing stuff, and the ending wrecked me,
Mm.
absolutely wrecked me.
I something that I respect a lot about, if I'm going to be honest, as the very last episode of Andor was going on, I was like 30 minutes into it and I'm like, this is so much more low key than I was expecting. I don't like, I wanted to have like the mind blown thing, you know, because like uh the last two episodes were, or no, the coming off of the last arc, I was just like, oh my gosh, there's no place to go. But like, how could you top that? What are they gonna do? But like, on thinking about it more, I actually really respect and love the decision to. It feels like the show was made to have Rogue One function as the series finale.
Yes.
Like, I love that it didn't, because it felt like if you watched it all together, it wouldn't be structured right. Like you'd have your finale, Rogue One, which is kind of a finale, and then it's like it doesn't try to
And then New
top
Hope
Rogue.
has a finale.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like it tries to top Rogue One and then
Yeah.
chronologically lead into Rogue One. I like that ending of him walking and you've got the dialogue over and he's going to the shuttle and you know where he's going. It
And the
feels like
score there, man,
And he's
the
wearing the
score.
clothes that he's wearing in the opening scene where
Yeah,
he's, yeah.
it feels like it's like episode 12 and they're like, oh, episode 13 we just titled Rogue One, that's the finale. Like I kind
well,
of
and
love that
even
they're like, that's the conclusion
when
and they
you
didn't
hit the
try to like.
credits, it immediately pops up
Yep.
like watch Rogue One now.
Yeah,
So it's like
they knew.
they knew what they were doing. I think it's amazing, and I think the finale of Andor, um, it's the perfect calm calm
Mhm.
of the
Yeah,
storm. Like
so
I
much good
kind of love
dialogue,
when
so much
finales
great
do that.
acting.
I kind of love when when a finale does that. Like we always like assume a finale, a series finale is going to be this like earth-shattering, mind-blowing thing, and then it's kind of like what happened before the finale was really the big mind-blowing earth-shattering thing, and the finale ends up being more contemplative almost. Um and and I kind of love when finales do that if they do it well.
I wish
Um
y'all would just watch Better Call Saul already.
dude,
I know.
I need to. I may actually have to start that soon.
It went on a crazy sale on Apple and I bought it. So I have it. It's
Oh,
ready to go.
it is a perfect show. It is.
Wow.
My problem is I wanted to watch Breaking Bad again first, but I don't know. I know it's not like you probably don't need to, but I didn't watch it. I watched it like 10 years ago. So it's been so long. I kind of wanted to.
It's really easy to rewatch Breaking Bad
Yeah,
though.
it is.
I don't know, man. I had to like make a limit for myself because that episode, that show is there's no
Yeah.
hope. There's no hope in that show, like at all. No breath.
Uh, there's Jesse.
It gets sadder and sadder as it goes.
It does, but the hope is kept alive with Jesse.
Yeah, but
And
Jesse's
El
story is so
Camino
depressing
is
most of the
awesome.
time.
Oh my gosh, El Camino's so good.
Never did see that either.
Oh, you got to. It's so good.
I want to. I want to see all of it. I just, man, I need to rewatch it. I literally had to set a limit on how many episodes, and then I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender to like cleanse my palate. It's so dark. It's so good though.
It is so dark, but it's perfect.
Um. Okay. Any man? I mean, we could keep going.
We could keep
Yeah.
going forever. I
I'd-
think. Oh, what were you gonna say, James?
Oh, uh, I was just gonna say I kind of wanted to say just a few more nice things about prequels,
Ooh, yeah.
just because
Well,
I
that's great because the next character that I was gonna bring up for villain is a prequel character.
Okay.
oh, nice,
Let's
nice.
do
Count
it.
Dooku is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Dooku so much. And I think he's only become an even stronger character with Tails.
Yes.
Which like I already knew that stuff about Dooku, but like being able to see it Just
Tales
made
of the
it all the
Jedi
better.
specifically is so good.
Yeah,
And
it
his
really
arc
is.
within
His
that,
arc within it.
it's still
It,
those 3 episodes are still my favorites.
it's so
Yeah.
fantastic. It makes the Phantom Menace better. It makes Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith better. Um,
Oh, so good.
seeing Dooku's downfall and like like perfectly valid reasons for like betraying the Jedi. Like you understand where he's coming from. And like even the way that like Qui-Gon wrestles with the Jedi Order in the Phantom
Mm-hmm.
Menace, that is like a byproduct of being the Padawan of Dooku.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think Dooku has some of the most depth out of the villains in Star Wars, especially for Sith
And he's Christopher Lee.
and is Christopher Lee. Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong with him. It's so good.
Yeah, his presence is perfect. Again, has a cape. His outfit is
Villains with
sick.
capes, man.
Yeah. And then also he's got like the weirdest lightsaber and it's freaking
Oh,
awesome.
it's so cool. That is such a
It's
he
so
needs
weird.
an elegant, and that is the most elegant hilt ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Dooku.
Yeah.
While we're on the prequels, dude, I love General Grievous. I think he is
So cool.
He's one of the most purely like you're not really in it for the depth. You're not in it for you are here because this is a droid with 4 arms and a lightsaber in each, and
With
it's
a
like
beating heart.
with a beating heart and like fleshy eyes under a robotic mask, and I like I just think that is one his design to me is one of the all-time great designs. He's so cool, and that shot of him spinning the sabers as he gets like as he approaches Obi-Wan, and I love his blend of like super boldness mixed with like cowardice. Like you can't call him truly a coward because like he is in the battles all the time fighting the Jedi,
Yeah.
but he also it's time to abandon ship. Like he'll get out of there when it's time to get out of there. I think he is just such a fun villain, and I love him in the Clone Wars. I love how seamlessly he moves from the Clone Wars into Revenge of the Sith now. Like whenever whenever Anakin's like, "Well, finally catch this monster and end this war," you kind of feel that after all the seasons of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Also,
but, like,
I don't even care if sometimes they get really goofy, but the way that Anakin always misses running into him in the Clone Wars
yes,
is
I
so
love it.
amazing.
It's so maintaining that first meeting in Revenge of the Sith. I love that they did that.
You're shorter than I expected.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah. I
theme-
never thought about that before.
yeah. They,
Well,
like there's a scene. The only time they spatially share the same place, Dooku is like like he's out and Anakin is unconscious. It's like that's the only time they're ever at the same room. So they never see each other throughout the whole show, so that they can have their introduction and Revenge.
Oh
of the
my
Sith
gosh.
still.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But something else I love about him is his music. Like when he first in Revenge of the Sith, it's one of my favorite little bitty like 10 seconds of any track. But when the blast, like whenever the doors open and he's walking through with his cape and it's doing this like deep horn of like this bum 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 bum, like it is like this bombastic, huge, loud theme, and it's so perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
I
Gosh,
love
man.
I love cocky Obi-Wan versus Grievous.
Yes.
Oh,
You'll move.
Hello
so
there.
so
sassy.
uncivilized.
I love
Oh, so
sassy
good.
Obi-Wan in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
sassy Obi-Wan is the best.
We
Also,
came here to
Detective
rescue
Obi-Wan
you.
is the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job. That line gets me every time.
We decided to rescue you. Good job.
And the little the glance upwards,
What
Also,
about Padme? She seems to be on top of things.
I love how they also keep it consistent with Obi-Wan hating flying.
Yep.
Yes,
So good.
but he
Why
doesn't
do I
hate
get the feeling
flying.
you're going to be the death of me?
Oh, that's so good. Oh, also talking both animation and prequels, Darth Maul. Like it's what
How have
they
none of us said that yet?
I he was already he's everything he needed to be in Phantom Menace, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
He again a peerless design, like that design for him with the paint and the horns and the hood. That design is unreal. You know, growing up, that face was plastered over all the advertisement because they
Yeah, and
knew they
he
cooked
used to
so
scare me
hard.
as a kid, bro.
He scared me, but I also thought I'm like he is terrifying, but
Yeah.
also maybe the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And like the double bladed lightsaber reveal
Ugh,
is
dude.
And Duel of
un-
the Fates, man.
and but like taking that character, and again I made fun of it whenever I saw that that's what they were doing in the shows. I'm like, oh my gosh, whatever. And then I'm watching it, he is one of the most compelling villains between the Siege of Mandalore and then Rebels. The last episode with him at Rebels is his
Ugh.
last exchange with Obi-Wan is like some of the most maturely crafted Star Wars moments of all time.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Also, I love what they did with him in the Clone Wars finale.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
him seeing the vision of Luke and being scared.
And also just
Incredible.
scared of like he like being sidelined kind of gave him perspective on what Palpatine was doing the whole time.
Yeah.
And there's a like there's a line that kind of gives me chills, like because I never thought about it until this line in Siege of Mandalore. Whenever it's something I think he just says like, so it is beginning or something, where you realize he knew about the Galactic Civil
Uh-huh.
War before it happened. He was supposed to be the guy, you know,
Yep.
and now he's sidelined, and he's the guy who's telling everybody, like, you don't understand what's happening. Like, oh my gosh, dude, I love it.
Shout out to Sam Witwer because his voice acting as Maul is incredible.
Yeah,
And as Palpatine too, dude.
Yeah, you
yeah.
forget he does Palpatine
He does
too.
the best Ian McDermott impression of anybody
Yeah.
who's done him. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Because Tim Curry did it, right? A little bit, and it was
Yes, and
it was weird.
it's not very good. And anytime I think of that, unfortunately, he is the voice of Palpatine under the Last Jedi arc, which stinks because that's my favorite arc, and I love
The
Tim
Wrong
Curry,
Jedi.
but sorry, yeah, the Wrong Jedi arc. But I love Tim Curry, but he's not it as Palpatine. And so when she's on trial, the way he says her name, I say it every now and then just as a joke, because like Ahsoka Tano. Like, it cracks me up.
Space.
It reminds me of in Lord of the Rings where in Aragorn is like, they have no other master. Like so he's got this weird voice that he doesn't have in the entire rest of the movie.
Hey,
You have no other master.
Actually. All right, we're ending this right now.
I'm sorry.
We'll sit
Every
here
now
and
and
take
then
it
he'll say a line. It's like, that sounds weird. It's a weird voice.
out. You have a weird voice.
I know. I know.
No,
How dare you say
I'm
that
just
about
mad.
Aragorn, son of Arathorn?
You owe him your allegiance.
When are we doing a Lord of the Rings episode, and how have we not already?
Because we know it's gonna be 6 hours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's how we did. That's
For
why.
each movie.
Part 1 and part 2 each are
Yeah.
3 hours.
Dude, it's gonna be
Per
3-parters for each one.
Now we'll just treat each disc like it's its own movie, and we'll do.
That's all we got to do. And it's only
Yeah.
going to take up like 3 months of the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay.
What are we waiting for?
I think we need to end soon because I'm getting tired. But
Yeah.
I want one more topic for me. What is y'all's favorite Star Wars character that should be no one's favorite Star Wars character. Like a weird, quirky, I love that character for some dumb reason, like kind of character. I'll go with mine first. I love Max Rebo. Always have loved Max Rebo. I don't know why, but that little elephant playing the keyboard with his fat fingers, like I I love the Jabba's Palace band anyway. Like I love that stuff. But Max Rebo, there's something about him. I don't know what it is, but I always loved Max Rebo. And
It's a good pick.
Babu Frick will be my second choice.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Babu Frick is up there for me. I don't even remember. I can't remember what the alien is called.
The Fricks.
Yeah,
Babo
they're Fricks.
Frickians.
Babu Frickians, yeah. I'm a member of the Church of Babu Frick.
I love
Yeah,
when they showed up in Mandalorian.
oh yeah, they're so good in Mando. I love Babu Frick. I'm trying to think. There was another character that I had off the top of my, or that I had, but I lost it. This one isn't. Oh, I was gonna say
No,
this
go
one
ahead.
isn't necessarily like a super weird character, but I think Lobo is really cool.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. I like that.
That's
Good
the guy
choice.
from Empire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy is, it feels weird because he is enough of a character and has enough dialogue, but like he fits the whole like this shouldn't be anybody's favorite character, but I love him. It's Newt Gunray. I love Newt Gunray.
Yeah.
He is one of the most quotable characters in the entire franchise to me.
Shoot her or something.
What? What did you say? Like it's.
Is that legal?
I don't know. Like
All timer.
I'll make it legal.
Yeah, he to me, and I love alien prosthetics. So
Yep.
I love the way he looks. I think he's just such a funny, quotable presence that I love that he's in Star Wars. I like none of it's ironic. Like I truly do love him as like an
None of it's
acting
ironic.
antagonist.
It's just iconic.
Exactly. He is iconic. So
Good choice.
I really love Newt Gunray.
Also, R5. I don't know why, but I've always loved R5.
Yeah. R5 is underrated.
And I love that he got more life in Mando. It makes me so happy that he's still kicking.
Yeah.
It's so great. But
yeah, I guess the only other one is Glup Shido.
yes.
Gosh, I love him.
Yeah. All-time great Star Wars character.
Quadranero. Ben Quadranero.
Dude, Phantom Menace is so full of these kinds of characters because Ben Quadinaros is a hero.
Yep.
Also, Kitster. I
Kitster.
love dude.
Yep.
The
so wizard.
The sass levels of Kitster. It is so. You're gonna race in this? I love it. And one of my favorite moments in Attack or in a Phantom Menace is whenever Kitster's like, "You're gonna do it, like, or you're definitely gonna finish it this time," and Padme's like, "Finish what?" And of course, Kitster's sass comes back because he looks her dead in the eyes. Like, the race, of course. And then whenever Anakin's like, Kitster's right, and he like puts his arm around a kid the way kids do, Kitster's just got the biggest smile. Like, that kid has so much charisma. It's kind of insane.
Also, I guess my final random character that I'll shout out, the Death Sticks guy.
Yeah.
All-time great character.
I don't want to say this.
His character
So
design
memorable.
is incredible.
We brought him up earlier too. We got it. Just Gorian Shard,
Oh yeah.
old Greg himself. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his design is just so ridiculous, and I love that he's a
So
pirate.
awesome.
It's
Yes.
so awesome. I That's another thing I just love about. I love when Star Wars is pirates, like
Yeah.
Hondo.
Hondo. Oh, we've never mentioned Hondo yet.
Someone mentioned
Dude.
it in the comments earlier.
I
I
think it
forgot
was
to bring it
Jack.
up. Yeah, I think it was
Dude,
Jack, but
Hondo Onaka is
Hondo
one of the
Onaka.
greats.
Yeah, so voiced by the legendary Jim Cummings.
Yep. Golly.
So
He
good.
is one of the best side characters in the franchise.
Yeah. He's one of those characters where I'm like, like certain bits of Star Wars, recent Star Wars, tends to make things feel small because they always like do these cameos. But Hondo is one of those characters where I'm like, he could he could literally run into anyone, and I
Uh-huh.
would be perfectly okay with it.
Because
And
the
by the
thought
way,
is like,
they have not let him run into anybody in live action. Like they've given us so many cameos, and it's like, no, we don't want that cameo. We want Hondo, and
yeah.
they're
And he's
withholding him from.
with him at Black Spire Outpost at Disney means he is canonically alive during the sequels. So
Yeah.
he, I want to
It's
see
only a
him.
matter of time, right?
Yeah.
They could have done it in Skeleton Crew. It was like
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh, man, I wish
He'll
they-
probably show up in
The movie the
yeah.
Mando movie.
He could show up there, or he could also show up in
Honestly, though, that'd be sick.
the
people
Filoni
who have
movie.
never seen the shows, if they're there in the Mando movie, they're going to be so confused when that guy shows up and I stand up and like cheer because I will. If he shows up in the Mando movie, I'm going to lose.
You're gonna throw popcorn at the screen and say "chicken jockey."
No, theaters are not prepared for the excitement they're going to see
Yeah.
if he shows up in that movie. I'm going to be so hyped.
I am too. I would love it so much. I love when he runs into Ezra later in the show, and he's
Yeah.
like, "You lied to me. I'm so proud."
Uh,
Amazing.
it's like my mom always said, 2 prisoners is good, but 3, that's just good business.
He's a great character. Oh, okay.
Omar bullying James right now.
Yeah, dude. I feel it too. I'm gonna feel it tomorrow. Omar said he's amazed I'm awake past my bedtime.
Yeah. I'm tired too.
Yeah, we should probably close out now. But that was super fun. We could literally talk talk about Star Wars for hours.
So it says we've been doing this for 2 hours and 17 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah.
That was so much fun. It just flew by.
Yeah, it really did. But yeah, that was I had a blast. What a way to come back after a little hiatus. But yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the month. We got a bunch of Star Wars stuff on the way, and one of those things is going to be a review of The Force Awakens, which I'm
so excited
super
about that.
pumped about that. But yeah, thanks for watching, listening. I think I'm actually, for the podcast listeners, this is going to be video form on the podcast feed. So
Whoa.
yeah,
Dude, I didn't know
we
that.
can
I
we
probably
can
look
do
like such
that.
an idiot.
Dude, you do look like an idiot.
Enjoy Anakin in the background.
Yeah. And Empire Strikes Back in Michael's background.
Somewhere over there.
But yeah, this was so much fun, guys. Thank you for everyone who listened. Like we said before, you can join our Facebook group, Banter Fodder, a film and television discussion group. If you're not in there already, you totally should be. Look forward to more Star Wars content for the rest of the month, and not another month-long hiatus. So gonna be back. Go support your local theaters. Don't watch Minecraft. It's probably out of the theaters now. Go watch Mission Impossible. I haven't seen it yet. James hates it. Michael loves it. I'm gonna be on the right side of history probably. So
Bro.
yeah.
I hope you're with me.
Go watch Mission Impossible. Also, go watch like all the cool indie films that are releasing right now, like Bring Her Back. But until next time, eat some popcorn and watch Star Wars. All right, bye.